Hi there, Zam here for NerdTube. Happy New Year to you all. These are my thoughts and spoilers of episode 8 of the Tulsa King Adobe Walls. I do apologize for my current demeanor. I am suffering from a flu or a cold, so I'm going to do my best to go through with this. As I said earlier, spoilers ahead. So, in this short 35-minute episode, we kind of got the beginnings of the end of this particular season. Everything is culminating, and I love to see it. We see the Black McAdam gang wanting Dwight's head. Chuck Enviezi, now in charge of that particular crime family, no longer having to listen to his dad, wants to take Dwight out as well. Probably he's like the last of a bygone era of gangsters, and Chuck, being the new generation, doesn't want any of these old heads around fucking reminding people what it once was like to be like those motherfuckers. He wants to be the sort of shining example of what it means to be a gangster. Dwight is no fool. He's a wise old head. He knows everything that's going to be happening to him during the course of this episode, which is why he's training his group of pacifists who work for him in the weed shop how to shoot, but they need to be able to defend themselves. And it's funny seeing them all being able to, shooting their guns in various ways, not being able to hit the target, or like Tyson trying to be like an OG shooting inside style and all of that. Hilarious. But what Dwight then realizes is that he needs some proper career criminals on his team, which is why when he speaks to Mitch Keller, who's able to get a few sort of cowboys, so to speak, to work for him, as well as Jimmy, who is the guy who owns the weed farms he negotiated with and had the apricot jelly and all of that. Yeah, he's going to be getting some sort of cowboy Native Americans to help him out as well. And the reason why Jimmy was involved in this episode too is because Jimmy, being a Native American himself, will be able to run the casinos for Dwight in Tulsa. So you can see just Dwight just expanding his organization. He's moving ahead so quickly, and he's just recruiting all the right people. Doesn't care about bloodline. All he cares is about competence and loyalty. And he knows that certain these people all offer different things, but he just knows that they're good at what they're able to do, and he's trying to teach them a few other tricks as well as Dwight himself learning a few things of his own, which is why he's got people like Bodie on his team, because Bodie, he's a nerd, he's a geek, but my God, that guy can make a shitload of money with crypto scams. So all of these elements, all of these people, he realizes they're very important, and they're all teaching each other different things about each other, and it's really good to see. I really appreciate it. Now, there is somebody from that gangster world who did try to escape it, and that was Manny. And we do see a really cool scene with Manny and his wife, because Manny's wife is pissed off with what Manny's become recently ever since Dwight got involved in their life. Manny's coming home late, he's carrying a gun. This is not the person Manny's wife married, and she leaves an ultimatum with him saying, okay, you either come with me and we move away from here and we restart our lives and get away from all this shit, or I'm going to divorce you. And you could tell that Manny was pissed off with that. It was a great scene. With the different factions now trying to take out Dwight, some of them because of envy, some of them because it's business, bit of both. We see the Black McAdam gang. Waltrip's organization is being raided by the ATF. Stacy's really fucking pissed. She's pissed that Roxy's been killed. She feels responsible for that. And she knows that Waltrip has got a lot of money. So that alone could be a way of getting him. Because if he's not paying taxes on those money, then they can take him out for that. Which is the reason why they raided his place. But they couldn't find Waltrip when they raided his place. But they did manage to find his laptop. And they go for his laptop. See that he's got a shitload of money. And now Waltrip's on edge. He's on the run. And he tries to get his corrupt cops to arrest Dwight so that he can take out Dwight in jail or something like that. But Dwight, being the wise old fox that he is, has a great moment with those corrupt cops. He basically pretends to have a gun on him and says that he'll blow holes in those cops' heads if they try to arrest him, and then they should walk away. And it kind of shows you how the cowardice of those particular cops, because they're wearing a badge, they feel they can throw their weight around. But the moment somebody steps up to them and is willing to kill them, and put upon them what it means to kill them, that your kids will have no father and all of that sort of stuff, they back off like a couple of little bitches. And it's really good to see later on in this episode how those corrupt cops were so frightened to deal with Dwight that they had to make up a lie when it came to speaking to Waltrip about how they couldn't find him and they couldn't take him out and yada yada, which is why Waltrip ends up taking things into his own hands, which I'll mention a little bit later. Chuck Invinesi, he's now the leader of the Invesi crime family. Last week was more of an episode based around him. Maybe not so much this episode. I think it was more of a Stacy episode, which I'll bring up her in a little bit. But he's already getting his plans set up in order to take out Dwight. At his own father's wake, he arranged to get Dwight whacked. And then later on, he speaks to Dwight, arranging a meet and greet so that they can clear the air and let bygones be bygones. But that's all bullshit, obviously. He knows that he wants to kill Dwight, which is why he says all this shit. And he's willing to meet Dwight in Tulsa to do this, which I find really funny because surely you would want Dwight in your part of the world where he's easy to kill. But by going to Tulsa, it doesn't matter how many men you bring, you're in Dwight's territory. And I think that's a bad move by Chuck. But I think he realizes he has no choice because Dwight didn't attend his father's funeral. So he probably thinks he has to go there in order to kill him. And, he's, acting, very, very kindly towards Dwight, but obviously that he wants to kill him. And I think it's because obviously that Dwight represents a bygone era. Dwight's obviously very disrespectful because he's elder and stuff like that. Feels like he can talk down to him, and he doesn't, and it makes him look weak as well, which is probably why he wants to take Dwight out. I'm sure that will come to an end next week or the week after. We'll see how that pans out as well. But as I mentioned, this is definitely a Stacy episode. We see her confronting Waltrip earlier on in this episode. She's obviously feeling very guilty regarding Roxy being killed. She knows that Waltrip killed her. She's also trying to deflect the FBI away from Dwight because she knows that she could be implemented in things if they find out Dwight and her have been fucking and they've seen each other a handful of times and they've been communicating and stuff. It could go very poorly for her as well. We see her talking to a shrink as well about some of the shit that she's been going through. Yeah, her life is very complicated. And she also finds out that Dwight is seeing Margaret, the horse stable owner too. So there's a bit of jealousy coming from Stacy regarding that. And at the end of this episode, she does go and visit Dwight at his hotel to just chat to him about a few things about Waltrip and so on. And you can see that Dwight is still a little bit smitten with Stacy. And after their little chat, he invites her back to his place, have a drink and so on. And I think he might have been working. I mean, she's playing a little bit hard to get, but I think she can't help but like Dwight. And she probably would have gone back to his place. But Waltrip comes in like a cop block with his goon. And they start shooting at Stacy and Dwight. They both get their guns out and they shoot back. The goon gets killed, but unfortunately Stacy gets shot. So that's how the episode ends, with Dwight really pissed off now because he's been shot at. Somebody he likes has been hit, and he wants to get revenge. He quickly disposes of his gun by giving it to Tyson, who happened to be driving by. So he gets rid of their gun. So we'll see how that pans out too. Also, by the way, I apologise for my loud bird. Hey, quiet you. Sorry about that. Also, I just want to add that it's good to see that his relationship with his daughter is being mended. She is communicating with him a little bit more. She was willing to come down to Tulsa, and Dwight obviously had to, just put a halt to those plans of her coming to Tulsa because he knows things are getting a bit heated right now, and would rather she come down to Tulsa when things have calmed down. So that's good to see. Obviously, he wants to see his grandkids as well. Kind of reminds me at the end of Creed 2, where Rocky goes to see his son Robert and meets his grandson for the first time. I want something like that, so to speak, in this. I would love it to see him meet his grandchildren. That'll bring a tear to my eyes. But yeah, overall, with this ending, with Stacy being shot, and Stacy being shot around Dwight as well. So how would that implement her? Because she's not only being shot, she's shot next to Dwight. She was with Dwight when she got shot, so they're going to be asking her questions if she recovers. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of things to come into play, as well as obviously the payback, because Dwight, without a doubt, will want to get back at the Black McAdam gang. And then obviously he still has to deal with Chuck and his goons as well, who probably want to take him out. So yeah, there's a lot of things going on. But Dwight is ready for war. He's got his pacifists all shooting guns, and he's hired some goons as well through Jimmy and Mitch. So we'll see what happens in the future. War, baby. I can't wait. Anyway, let me know what you think of this episode. I'm going to give it a solid 8 out of 10. Even though it was only 35 minutes long, there was a lot going on in this episode, and it's definitely setting up the finale, which is either 1 or 2 episodes long. You know, I think maybe 1 episode will be to do with the Black McAdams, and if it's 10 episodes, 1 episode with the Black McAdams, and 1 episode with the Vignezes, I guess, you know, and then maybe a nice little epilogue with him meeting his grandkids and all of that shit. I do apologise. I'm trying to come over my flu and cold and all of that. I'm doing my best here. But yeah, let me know what you think of this episode. And don't forget to leave a comment below. And subscribe to NerdTube, the greatest YouTube channel you never heard of. Take care. Bye-bye.